Got quite a challenge today. This image looks like a grayscale photograph like any other, but what's happened is at some point someone's made a halftone of it, which means it's actually described by smaller and larger black dots. And you can see the damage that exists on the image, the little spots and dots and scratches. They were all done to the original film, and then halftone was made of those. So they all exist as their own small dots and spots. So I have to investigate what's going to work to try and help heal these. So using the remove tool sounds like a good option. And it's doing not a bad job of it, a bit slow, but you can see it actually introduces noise, different colors and different sized dots when it shouldn't. And so that really just adds more imperfections and damage to the image. The heal tool should work, but like clone brush, it's dependent on where you stamp it down. So if you don't stamp directly on the dots when you're healing, you start to introduce offset dots, and that doesn't work either. Patch tool's going to be much the same in that you're arbitrarily moving it left and right, and the dots just won't line up. But interestingly, the spot healing brush tool does a fantastic job. And you can see it's replacing dots with dots. Now the challenge with this kind of technique is you can't go in with standard brushes and paint any tone. You can't copy and paste, slide things around. All your normal tricks are not available to you, and you really only have the spot healing brush, and you have to try and force it by using either long strokes or small jabs and dabs to try and make the corrections you want. Sometimes you can see on this cheek working over and over an area, I'm trying to flatten out the tone there. But every time the heal tool makes a choice, it introduces, I don't know, information from somewhere else in the image, and it's not necessarily flat. So with this technique, I'm just working my way around the image, trying my hardest to try and flatten it out. And as you can see, I'm working quite wide. If you work too closely to it, yes, you get to see the dots and you get to see what's happened to each little spot, but it's very hard to look at and to make sense of. And I find zooming out wider like this gives you a much clearer overview of the work you're doing. As you can see, I'm being pretty generous with how I correct some of this stuff out on the background, the backdrop. There seems to be some kind of bicycle there or some kind of pipe or something. I'm not quite sure what that is, but you know, I actually don't care. It's so gone and so degraded. It's very hard to tell, and this wasn't a real location by the look of it. It looks more like a studio, and yeah, I'm just going to try and hide the scratches. Interestingly as well, this is not a photograph of a young girl. This is a young boy. It was quite common back in the day to dress very young boys in clothes like this, almost like in dresses, until they reached a certain age. Just going to do a little adjustment here with the levels, and I'll call that a day. I'm going cross-eyed by now. This has been quite challenging. It's very hard to look at up close, but I think visually I've got rid of most of the issues. As usual, I'd appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. I hope you found this interesting. It was certainly a fun little job to work on.